Welcome to the Orion Sportscast Podcast, the most refreshing analysis, insight, and opinions in the world of sports. Here are your hosts, Josh Egan and Brandon Waterhouse.
All right, we are back. We're ready. We have a lot to talk about. There was some fantastic football games this weekend and last night. We got a big one coming up today. The NBA is back. The NHL is making progress on coming back. And there's just a lot of news today. We got a lot to get to. But first off, Brandon, how was your weekend?
Deep breath, man. It's a stressful week, especially to be a student right now. So
yeah,
I mean, the weekend isn't really filled with like much pleasure, or like the times I have to play basketball, get outside is like it's pleasure, I guess, to me these days, just because everything else is like flooded with work. It's different because they're doing like take home assignments and essays too, which is like, it's cool. I mean, you don't have to do it in a certain time period, but like sometimes in take home exams, just as confusing. I don't know. This is me rambling about school, like, because it's on my mind. You asked me about my weekend, but what about you, man? How's your weekend looking like? I see you at the pond quite often.
Yeah, working all week. We finally wrapped up our sessions till the new year, so it's going to be just rentals and stuff, which will cut down
working on the weekends like usual.
Like usual. That was my best Instagram story I ever made. Anyway, so we had some good NFL games last night.
Yeah, we're filming on a Monday today, by the way, and coming up a pretty exciting Sunday. No need to apologize, but I am in a little bit of a different setting today. I repping my hometown a little bit as well. This is my first high school that I went to, and this was the team that my dad coached as well. They went to OFSA, so a little bit close to home today. I'm back in my hometown, so just a little bit different. No calendar to look at today, I guess. But other than that, the NFL got me feeling kind of sad yesterday, but I'm sure you're feeling good.
Oh boy, let's start right to it. The Steelers dropped to 11-2 with a loss at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. That game was fantastic. Josh Allen had a second half for the ages with his receiver, Stephon Diggs, catching his 100th reception of the season. He's the first receiver to get to 100 receptions this year. And that's quite an impressive stat, considering that was their 13th game, I believe. Good game for the Bills. This secures them a spot pretty much in the postseason. They're ahead by 3 games to go. And I believe if the Browns win tonight, it does clinch them a playoff spot, which is exciting for everybody involved who is a Bills fan. But this was the Bills' first home win versus Pittsburgh since week 5 of 1999. So it's been a while in the making. And that stadium last night would have been rocking if fans were allowed in the stands. But unfortunately,
did you see I saw this quote on Twitter. I think it was like Ben Roethlisberger was questioning, like, after 2 losses, if he was like even a valid quarterback. Like, I thought it was rather dramatic. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but did you see anything about that?
I saw a couple things about it, but I just think the Steelers as a whole, if you're a sporting team, you're going to face adversity in the season. And I think next week is going to be the Steelers team that we see next week is going to be the team that they have going into the playoffs, because they face some adversity. They've lost 2 straight, and they've been to pretty good teams. Like, they opened the season, like they played the Giants, the Broncos, the Texans, then they had a bye week, then they played the Eagles, the Browns, the Titans, the Ravens, the Cowboys, Bengals, Jags, Ravens, and they lost to the Washington football team and the Bills.
Wow.
I think I got that right.
Wow.
But next week they play the Bengals again. And that team, they're without their starting quarterback, so they should be able to get a win. But
they just got annihilated by the Cowboys too, right? The Bengals.
Yeah, they did. And the Bengals are their season's done. Obviously, they lost Joe Burrow, but they're going to want to prove that they can play the big boys and beat the Steelers. But the Steelers finished their season. Bengals, Colts, Browns, and that last Browns game, that could be a potential playoff matchup, because the Chiefs took the lead in that division because they won, and they also moved to 11-2. But the Steelers have they got a tough road ahead, it looks like, and they could be seeing an early playoff exit, in my opinion, because I don't think they're quite as strong as their record makes them out to be, and it was proven last night that Buffalo was clearly the better team.
I don't disagree, man. Buffalo, I'm glad. I was kind of not nervous. I can't say I was nervous, but like as okay, yeah, the Buffalo Bills would probably be my second team right now. So especially for you, I care about them. And as a Orion member, I think the Bills are, I would say, our team.
Yeah, they
Uh,
are.
so it's good, especially because you saw Juju Smith, and I had the notes written down like just the Bills beat the dancing Steelers. So it's just kind of like
Right. And
you think
oh,
about the Steelers, you think about all the guys doing the TikToks.
that dancing thing, I don't mind it because they're a winning team. Like they're 11-2. That's not a bad record. But can you imagine someone from the Jets doing that before every game?
Did you see the one yesterday though? Juju was dancing and like while the Bills were warming up right on the logo. It was like right
But
beside him.
he's done that before every game.
No, I know.
I don't have a problem with it. Like,
Good for you for understanding that.
just back it up. Like, and apparently it fired up the Bills because Josh Allen in the locker room was like, let them do their fucking dance. Let's go out there and fucking win.
Wow,
And
I didn't see that, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's apparently what he said. But
I'm excited for every week. I'm excited for when the NFL mic'd up comes out.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But Josh Allen's stat line last night, he did throw the first half, both quarterbacks were 50%, but he kind of woke up in that second half. All game, he was 24 for 43 for 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So not like sparkling numbers, but he got his job done in the second half. His second half was definitely probably his best half of the season. And yeah, it was an unreal game for Stephon Diggs. He had 10 receptions for 130 yards and 1 touchdown. And he is proving to be one of the best receivers in the NFL, in my opinion, because he just gets it done. He's got that connection with Josh Allen, and he's also said this. They both just want to win, and they're proving it on the field. And they had him rush last night for the first time in the season. He only gained 1 yard, but it's nice to see that they're going to try him in that. And I think that could be a little bit of a weapon against whatever team they run into in the playoffs. I don't know who I think they might be lined up to play. I don't know who they would play in the playoffs right now. The NFL kind of scrambled around a lot this weekend in the standings. But I think this Buffalo team is proving to be legit. And it's kind of nice that they're out of mediocrity now, and they're forefront of the NFL. They're in the top 5 teams, sitting at 10-3.
Yeah, well, speaking of your team, we'll go right into mine. So the Giants managed to score only 1 touchdown against the Arizona Cardinals, and I said I didn't really say anything, but now it's just kind of like Danny Jones comes back after a week where we somehow get a win with Colt McCoy, and then you're expecting kind of more progressions as a Giants fan, just to kind of witness not even a close game. Danny Jones goes 50% for completion on 21 attempts, only 130 yards. So
yeah.
I mean, what did Colt McCoy go the other week? Like whatever it was. I mean, Danny had no touchdowns, no nothing. It was just kind of hard to be a Giants fan yesterday, especially with all this promise in the media.
I mean, they're still 5-8. It's not bad.
Yeah, but the worst part is that the
season.
football team of Washington is winning games now.
Yeah.
And we can go right into that because I don't want to spend too much time on the Cardinals if you don't have anything to say, because the football team of Washington beat San Francisco 23-15 and moves ahead of the Giants in that division.
Yeah, that's a good win for them. They're kind of coming off an off season of controversy with the name change, and I believe they had like a scandal with they had some like sexual assault accusations in the front office, and it's not good that they've rebounded from that, I guess, but the team weren't necessarily, the players weren't involved with that. So it's good they've been able to kind of push forward and get the job done. And they're not the strongest team in the NFL, but they're proving that they can fight and win. And I think they've won 4 straight now, correct?
Who's this? The football team?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I know the Giants were on a bit of a streak, but I don't know what the football team was.
They're 6-7 now, so I think that was their 4th straight win.
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
They beat San Francisco 23-15. Nothing too much came out of this game from what I saw.
No.
Passing wise, well, Washington of note, they used 3 quarterbacks: Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins, and Isaiah Wright. So they're kind of playing around with different quarterbacks there. And then
they win. So
yeah,
give credit to them. Speaking of the NFC East, we'll stay there with the Eagles beating the Saints by 3, which is super surprising. Jalen Hurts gets his first win as a rookie quarterback in his first start, right?
Yes.
So good for Jalen Hurts. Congratulations.
Yeah, and
I know you're listening.
the Saints are missing. They're missing Drew Brees for sure. They dropped to 10-3. They're probably still going to make the playoffs. And I see Drew Brees might be back in week 15, which I think is next week. I think that's kind of optimistic coming off like punctured lungs and broken ribs.
Drew Brees, yeah.
But, Taysom Hill, he did his job, 28 for 38, 291 yards, 2 touchdowns through 1 interception. But it was enough to beat the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. It wasn't enough to beat the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, who, 17 for 30, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So, yeah, it was, not a routine win, but a good win for the Eagles. And maybe they can get a little bit of a momentum.
I got something for you. Speaking of a routine loss, the Jets get slapped 40-3 by the Seahawks. What do you have to say?
The Jets are the Jets are the most fascinating team in the NFL to me. I don't know how you can suck so bad. Like, it's entertaining every week.
I think I called this last week. I said, like, the Seahawks, there's no way.
Well, and Sam Darnold played. So
I'm not worried about who played, man. I'm just worried about the Seahawks, who had just how they were gonna respond.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Jets are going to win a game this season. I don't know who they have left. I can look up their schedule quickly, but just a fascinating shit show of a team.
The Jets play the Rams next week.
That's a loss. But I don't know. The closest they came to winning a game was last week, and they kind of pissed that one away. So,
but very accurate. Yeah, very accurate there.
Maybe they can turn it around in the offseason. It looks like they're going to get the first overall pick with Trevor Lawrence. We'll see what happens, though. I think we're going to see a massive turnover in coaching staff and everything. But, yeah, the Jets continue to lose, and that's, disappointing for Jets fans. But I don't feel too sorry for them. 0-13. Can they go 0-16? We'll see. I think they will, unless they can do some miracle in the last 3 games of the year. But I can't see it happening, man. I don't think they're going to be winning a game this year.
You want to speed through some of the other scores?
Yeah, go for it. Throw them at me.
We got the Broncos beat the Panthers 32-27 by 5.
So the Broncos beat the Panthers. That was expected, I believe. The Panthers are kind of, they've been riddled by injuries all year, and the Broncos are coming off kind of a rough 2-3 weeks where they were just didn't have a quarterback for a while, and they signed a guy off the practice squad, and they've been told no by the NFL about who they can and can't play. So it was nice for them to, they kind of got a consistent lineup this weekend, and they were able to put a win together. Drew Lock playing for the Broncos was 21 for 27, 280 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Good for him.
Which is quite impressive. Then the Panthers, they had Teddy Bridgewater playing, who went 30 for 40, 283 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So, kind of a routine NFL game that drops the Panthers to 4-9, and Denver improves to 5-8. I don't know if any of these two teams will be playoff teams, but they still have to play the games.
The Chiefs moved to another, I think, like 13 or 12-1 as they beat the Dolphins by 6, 33-27.
Yeah, and the Chiefs almost lost this game. They clinched the AFC West with this win.
12-1.
12-1, so they've clinched it. Pat Mahomes threw 3 interceptions, but threw for close to 400 yards with 2 touchdowns. So kind of a blemish on his stat line there. It's the first time he's thrown 3 interceptions in a game. And Miami kind of looked to be locked in this game. I thought they might pull it off. They were looking strong, and that win would have been huge for them, especially with Buffalo winning. They would have been able to stay right behind Buffalo, and the Pats lost on Thursday. So it's going to be it's a race in that division. And with the last couple games, these 3 teams kind of play each other a lot. And then, Tua was 28 for 48, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Be nice if he could complete a couple more passes there.
Yeah, for sure.
But, KC pulls through again. They're looking like the most dangerous team in the NFL right now, especially carrying over from last year. The only team that, they haven't only been able to beat one team. And they might not lose a game on their way to the Super Bowl, which I think they will be there again against who, I'm not sure yet. But I think the path, if you want to win the Super Bowl this year, the path definitely goes through Kansas City.
It's a very good take. Buccaneers beat the Vikings pretty handily, 26-14.
Tom Brady continues his reign on the NFL, just proving that he doesn't really need Bill Belichick to be able to succeed. I thought this game would be a lot closer going in. The Vikings have been looking okay, and the Buccaneers have been looking kind of weak. But Tampa Bay now sits at 8-5, and Minnesota drops to 6-7. They probably wanted that win to kind of stay in playoff contention. We're getting into crunch time here. But Kirk Cousins for the Vikings was 24 for 37, threw 225 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Tom Brady on the other side, he was 15 for 23, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he got quite a bit done in not as many throws. But, the Buccaneers, they're going to be fun to watch in the playoffs, I think. I don't know how far they're going to make it, but we're going to see playoff Tom Brady come alive. Like he says, the NFL season doesn't really start till after Thanksgiving. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I think they might do pretty well, maybe win 1 or 2 games, but I don't know if they're enough to, like I said, beat Kansas City.
Yep. The Tennessee Titans improved to 9-4, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I did not realize we're 1-12. This score was 31-10.
Yeah, the Jags have had a little bit of a rough season. They won it. I think they won their first game of the year, and then it just kind of fell off after that. And they're supposed to be tanking this year, and I think by winning that first game, they've kind of screwed up their chances of getting that first overall pick. But not a team that's 9-4 is going to beat a team that's 1-12 99% of the time, and Jacksonville is definitely rebuilding, but. Ryan Tannehill for the Titans, he was 19 for 24, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. And for the Jags, they had Gardner Minshew playing, who was 18 for 31, threw 178 yards for 1 touchdown. And then Mike Glennon was 13 for 23 for 85 yards. He actually got benched halfway through the game. So that's why Minshew came in and kind of took over there. So it's not looking so good in Jacksonville at the moment. Maybe they can pull it together next year because they did have a good team a couple of years ago, and then it kind of fell off the rails for them. Hopefully they can bring it all together, but not everybody can win. So you're going to have weak teams in the NFL.
Got the Cowboys beating the Bengals by a pretty good score yesterday, 30-7. Wasn't really expecting that big of a difference in score, but
the Bengals don't really have their starting quarterback. This game might have been a lot closer if Joe Burrow was playing, but that's Dallas's first win by more than 3 points this season. So they improved to 4-9. I still think they're kind of a joke of a team when they beat a team that might be the equivalent of a Pee-wee high school team at the moment.
Right.
I wonder if the Jets play the Bengals in the last couple of games of the season. That might be their win, but
Pop Warner game.
Right. And so the Bengals are now 2-10-1. They're missing they're missing
the
their quarterback.
The Colts are beating the Raiders rather. They beat them 44-27. I guess the Colts are actually continuing to improve on a pretty okay season right now. Yeah,
they're 9-4. Vegas is kind of falling off here. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games after they started the season 6-3. They're now 7-6. 44-27. That's not a score you want to see as a Raiders fan because the Colts, while they have a good record, they have shown some blemishes in their defense, and the Raiders should have been able to pick up on that. I think the Raiders beat KC earlier in the year, right?
I couldn't tell you.
I think they did. That you beat KC and you kind of on a roll there, but
yeah. Speaking of on a roll,
from there.
Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers clinched the division, I believe, whatever division they're in. Don't really care about the Packers too much, but they're beat the Lions by a score and a half. So,
yeah, Packers beat the Lions 31-24. They clinched the NFC North. They'll be going to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers continues his MVP push. He is on fire this season. The stat lines he's putting up are amazing. He's breaking records left and right. He is probably, if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at the moment. in this game, he was 26 for 33, threw for 290 yards, threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was locked in. He picked apart this Detroit Lions defense. He was looking left and right, found the openings. Matthew Stafford for the Lions, he hung in there. He was taking some big hits, and he kind of showed some good resilience, but in the end, he wasn't able to get it done. He was 24 for 34, 244 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And Chase Daniel did take 6 snaps. He was 3 for 6 for 29 yards. Yeah,
that was pretty good. I'll take this one away because it's like another Pop Warner type game with the 4-9. I was gonna say Lakers, 4-9 Chargers, or the 4-9 Falcons. Justin Herbert though throws for 243 yards with 36 for 44, which is actually pretty impressive that I see it now.
Yeah. This game was decided by a 43-yard field goal as time was expiring. So it was actually a pretty exciting game. I didn't watch it live, but I did see kind of like on Twitter, it was trending, and I saw the highlights afterwards, and it looked like it was a pretty exciting game. 20-17, that's what you want to see in football, nice close games. The quarterbacks were kind of iffy in this one. Both teams were kind of iffy. The lead was changed multiple times. And, Matt Ryan, 21 for 32, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, but threw 3 interceptions. It's not very good for him. The Falcons, they need more out of their quarterback from that. And then the Chargers, they had Justin Herbert, who was 36 for 44, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, not the best when you're throwing an interception, but he was able to move the ball up the field, which is all you can really ask from your quarterback when your team's sitting at 4-9.
I hear you, man. Josh takes a lot of the NFL news. He also takes a lot of NHL news, but we'll jump right into the NBA news if you don't mind, because I can go on forever and we can fill some time there.
Let's do it.
So I'm so excited. I said the preseason was upon us. And I guess within the last time that we saw each other on the podcast, a couple games have happened now for the NBA preseason. So I won't necessarily go over all the scores. I'll go over some general ones. The teams are like playing like not back to backs, but they're playing like 2-2s really at the same place against the same team. So you have like the Raptors playing the Hornets again tonight, and they already did before. Clippers and Lakers are playing each other. The Pistons and the Knicks are playing each other. The Nets and the Wizards. And the Trailblazers and Kings. A couple key players I've seen right now are Obi Toppin for the New York Knicks. He didn't have a great second game, but his first game he actually had a few highlights. And I didn't necessarily know that he's kind of like an older rookie. He's older than Kevin Knox he's like a 22 or 23 or something year old rookie. So he's experienced and he has to be able to jump into a role right now. So it's trying to see you saw his name in the highlights, which was good to see, especially if you're a Knicks fan due to being RJ Barrett fan, which is kind of just association, really. You got the Clippers and Kawhi not looking too great the last night against the Lakers. They're not necessarily playing like the most minutes for Kawhi, but I mean, at the same time, LeBron and AD aren't playing at all. So it's like they're not taking advantage of the inexperienced young Lakers team. Shout out THT, Talen Horton Tucker. He's like a 20-year-old or something rookie coming off. He actually has a ring, though, because of last year with the Lakers joining them in the bubble. But he went off for like 30 last night, and so he's kind of carried the Lakers right now.
LeBron was pretty impressed by him, it seemed.
That's a thing, right? So that's kind of what the player who's making highlights down in LA right now, which is great. I mean, a couple of people on NBA Twitter are like, it's kind of unfortunate because they think that his time is going to be really soon, and they might not have the space to play him in the lineup. So he might want out to a team like Atlanta or whatever, where he'll get more minutes, Detroit, something like that. Not that he thinks that he deserves it, but I mean, it's the preseason and I'm not trying to join the list of people like being crazy analysis on preseason games because it's the preseason where it doesn't really matter at all at the end of the day. Yeah. But a lot of people are quick to say some stuff like that. So 30 points is great. 30 points is great. The Raptors play again tonight. I'm really excited for that. Couple players, Malachi Flynn and Matt Thomas, looking like the new Splash Brothers. Hopefully, they're not going to get as many touches as the Splash Brothers might have got, but if they can be as accurate as they are from the three, like the Raptors can be a whole different looking team by the end of the season. And hopefully, I think Nick Nurse also said that he wants to incorporate Matt Thomas into the lineup a little bit more, which I love. He's whatever. He might get targeted on defense, but he's automatic when open, even kind of off the dribble. He's learning, so I'm excited to see that. As well, you got Chris Paul playing. Zion plays tonight. So I'm excited. Lots of stuff coming. The season kicks off soon. And let me check what I had actually before so we had KD and Kyrie Irving come back. Do you have anything on that? I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, Kevin Durant was back. His first touch of the ball, he pretty much dunked it because I think someone from his old team said that he couldn't dunk. The most fascinating thing with this, this Brooklyn Nets team and KD and Kyrie Irving is kind of like they've been doing a lot of talking and none of it's really about basketball. Like I think, Steve Nash has been put on that team to coach, and at first Kyrie Irving was like, no, I don't really need a coach. And now he's kind of walked back his comments because of the experience he's had under Steve Nash. And he went through that whole thing where he wasn't talking to the media. I think he spoke to the media today because the NBA fined him $25,000, which if every time you don't talk to the media, you're fined $25K, your accountant's going to be calling you up like, hey, maybe answer a fucking question. But it's going to be that team. It's going to be dangerous. Their only downside might be they kind of implode from the inside, right? Like that's two big egos on the same team. There's only one ball to pass around. There's only one person who can kind of hit the game-winning shot. And if they can't work together, it's going to kind of be like, oh shit, this isn't working. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I just think that Kyrie Irving could kind of push himself out of that situation if he's not careful, because Durant's not going anywhere. He's a way better player than him.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good take. And that's a popular take as well with like this Kyrie Irving and his mental look on the NBA and how he thinks that. Like he's like called like whoever he was referring to on his Instagram story, like pawns. And then Kevin Love was like, I don't think I'm a pawn. Like, don't call me that. I know a lot about who I am. And Kevin Love took, like a former teammate, took offense to some of Kyrie's comments. And so even LeBron took offense to some of Kyrie's comments earlier in the week about like him not being, about Kyrie calling LeBron not as clutch as KD will be. So it's just kind of like, it is that KD and Kyrie are doing their little podcast, which is great to see. Or it's like Instagram Live. It's not necessarily a podcast. Instagram Live the other night. They do. I think Kyrie does have a podcast. However, I don't know. It's cool, like to think that they are naturally getting along, but like at the same time, why do they have to show it? Like, why do they have to make it a big deal that they're trying to prove something? Like, prove it on the court. I'm not saying anything. I like texted my friends, like holy, like the Nets look really dangerous. So that's what I thought. They looked great. They look positive together. I mean, that's first game as preseason as well. So hopefully we'll see how the attitudes unravel.
Well, a lot of it might be showmanship too, right? Like they might be saying, we know we're better than everybody else, so we're going to show it in this way. And it's kind of like a cocky, we're better than you attitude. And
for sure.
If that's how they want to express that, that's how you better back it up. Right? Because if you go out there and then you lose like 6 of your first 10, everybody's going to be, these guys are a joke. It's not working. And I think they're in kind of for a wake-up call with Steve Nash coaching because he knows what it's going to be. He's recently retired, right? Like he's played within the last 10 years. So he's not like a Greg Popovich who hasn't played in a while or has never played, or one of these coaches who's never been. Steve Nash is in the NBA. He knows what it takes. So he's going to be pushing these players to the best they can. And hopefully he can get them there and they respect his authority as the coach and they don't kind of take over the situation. A good example of what they can look to is Golden State and how they look at the coach there and everything. The garbage is being changed.
Like someone's trying to get in or something. But good takes by Josh on the NBA and especially the Nets. And Steve Nash, who has experience. Speaking of not much experience, we'll talk a few points on the Pistons letting go LiAngelo Ball, who got like good 20 minutes of playing time in warm-up probably, and a little bit of camera time, but no actual playing time, not even the preseason, and they let him go. What do you have to think on, I guess, what do you have to say on this?
I I don't really know. Like, did he ever, in your opinion, 1 second? So we live right over the dumpster.
Oh, great.
Did he ever actually, like, in your opinion, stand a chance?
I didn't understand. I guess I would imagine just because like a professional organization took a chance. Like I just wouldn't think that would be bad judgment by the Pistons. I thought it would be just like professional, like they would have done their assessments and see like that he could play. But like I don't know what it was to do. Like hopefully we'll find out if it was to do with like physical conditioning or attitude. Like you know what I mean? Like it's whatever. He can shoot and he's okay. Like I personally thought, but I mean maybe he just can't play as well. He's a little bit bigger than his brothers, but who knows what the like reasoning really is. But he's not ready yet, obviously.
Yeah, people were dunking on him for not like being waived and not making the team, but I don't think it's the last we'll see of him. His name alone carries a lot of weight, so we'll see where he ends up now. He might have to. Where was he playing? He was playing in wherever he was playing. He might go back there and improve his game and kind of take a second crack at this. But
oh yeah, he had a stint with the Thunder's G League team, I believe.
Yeah, so he might go to the G League and improve his game. He might have to take a contract with a team at the bottom of the league. We'll see, but I don't think we've seen the last of him at all.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you added a couple notes at the end of our NBA segment about LeBron being named the Athlete of the Year, as well as Harden and Westbrook's chatter.
Yeah, so LeBron James was named the Time Athlete of the Year, and people were kind of asking, how can you name an athlete of the year this year? There wasn't sports for like the first 6 months of the year, or not the first, like the middle of the year, there was no sports. So I listened to it. It was on Overdrive. It was from one of the people who were on the committee deciding who made this. Well, let's get loud. Who made this decision? And the criteria this year was a little different than it was in last year's. They were saying it was kind of the stuff they've done on and off the field or court. So they said it was kind of narrowed down to 2 people, and they had it down to LeBron James and Pat Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had an unreal season in the NFL, but LeBron James also did. He won a championship. But they also looked at the stuff that was done off the court. So he's done a lot of charity work. He kind of led that social injustice movement inside the bubble and had all the players behind him and the fans and was the forefront of that. So I think that I didn't have a problem with the choice. It was interesting to see how they made the decision. So I just thought I'd share that with everybody because some people might be confused as to why he did it, because there were people in the sporting world who did have statistically better seasons than he did. But this year they based it on more than just what they did in the sports industry and more like a whole. It was kind of more of a humanitarian award this year.
Yep, for sure. The Harden and Westbrook stuff, and then I'll finish off the NBA.
Right. So James Harden still hasn't shown up. I think he's got to pass like 2 more COVID tests, but apparently he's shown like no interest whatsoever in playing this year. And he, even with the acquisition of Wall, he still has absolutely no interest in playing in Houston, being part of them. He wants out. He wants to be traded, and he's made that very, very clear. I think he might be moved before the season starts, or he sits out a couple games and then is moved. But there's a lot of chatter around it, no confirmed like reports or anything, but people from inside the NBA and like people like Woj and the insiders are saying like, yeah, he's no interest in playing in Houston and he wants out. Even with them bringing in Wall, it hasn't made a difference to them. And, they shipped out Russell Westbrook over to Washington. And
actually, just today, sorry to interrupt you, just to add on to the point, like James Harden and the Houston Rockets and the Brooklyn Nets were linked to trades, but the Nets are like refusing to give up Kyrie or like most of the picks that would be able to get Harden, as well as like the Heat were kind of reluctant to let go of Tyler Hero, which is another place that had options to suggest to the Nets. The Rockets.
Right, and they already had to kind of find the perfect trade partner for Westbrook. because they wanted to trade salary for salary, and the person who, they both, I think it was 132 million both Wall and Westbrook made, so they were able to just kind of flip players. I think there was a draft pick in there somewhere too.
Right.
But I was listening to I think it's called like the Daily Wake Up or something, or The Lead is on The Athletic. It's just like a quick 15-minute start your morning. Here's what's happening in the sports world. It's really good. I suggest to listen to it. But they were talking about how Westbrook has shown up to the Wizards camp, and it's just, he's been calling, he was calling players at 1 a.m. saying like, "Are you excited? Are you excited? You're ready? You're fired up?" And they're like,
it showed, man. He's looked super like, in tune with like the Wizards seem to like him,
right.
And he's like the Wizards, and it seems to be like the narrative is like, he was not the problem in Houston actually.
Right, and they've been saying like, "Man, it's 1 a.m. Stop calling me. I get you're excited, but like I'm trying to sleep." He's like, "Oh, I'm just so fired up to be here." And they interviewed a couple players from the Wizards, and they're like, "He's totally changed the attitude of our team. He's loud on the court. He's excited. He wants to be involved. He's leading." So that's going to be fun to watch if everyone's getting along there, and he's kind of taking on that leadership role and as encouraged. I think we're going to see a different Westbrook than we did last year.
I'm excited. He's MVP All-Star caliber.
Yeah, for sure. And
so
hopefully he has a good season.
Actually, that's a lie. I want to shout out Karl Anthony Towns because, he's lost like 7, I believe, or more members, including his mother, to the coronavirus. And he had to play his first game preseason, may it be, without his mother being able to watch, and it was documented, and he just was super emotional about it. I want to shout out, I'm not religious, but like I'm thinking about him, and it made me super sad to see about, losing a family member, especially more than that, the devastating coronavirus is just super hard to deal with. Any deaths in the family, I could only imagine.
Right, it just goes to show that virus, it's still out there, still not a joke. Speaking of right, wear your mask, get vaccinated. Speaking of the vaccines, the transition here, the NHL had reported that they wanted to buy the vaccines for their players. And people had a problem with this. I'm going to break it down like this. These vaccines the governments are getting, they're not free. It's a business transaction. Pfizer is the company that makes the vaccine, and they are selling it to countries. So there's only a certain amount, and you have to buy that amount. So if you get another buyer, you're going to sell it to them. And it's not, people could have a problem with the NHL buying them, or any other sports organization for that matter, but they technically wouldn't be breaking any laws or anything. They would probably be frowned upon and criticized for it, but it is within their right to buy vaccines. So this was reported. It was originally reported that they were looking to do it for the start of the season, and then they kind of retracted that statement and say, no, we're looking at it for further down the line. And then it was put out today that Pfizer has said that NHL is not a priority for it until it has been shipped out to all governments that need it and all people that need it. So it doesn't look like the NHL will be getting the Pfizer vaccine anytime soon, which I go either way on it. Like, if you can buy it and get it for your players, good, because but also, I guess also you have got the other side of the frontline workers need it, the at-risk people need it, people in care homes, people in hospitals, they need it too. So if the NHL was to obtain the vaccine and they were taking away a supply from people that needed it, then that would cause an issue, because I don't think these athletes quite need it, as the NHL has a plan in place to be able to play this season without cross-country travel. So, that's what came out of there.
For sure. That's great news. More lightful news for a Leafs fan in NHL is Joe Thornton comes back to Canada and Toronto after a stint with HC Davos in Sweden. And he scored, I think, 11 points in 12 games, which was like, I mean, what do you got to be excited to see and hear that.
Yeah, he's coming back. I think it's to start his quarantine, because he's obviously coming in from different countries. So 2 weeks today, so 14. He's got quarantine for 14 days. That'll take him to the 28th. And then camps are supposed to start on the 3rd. So that'll be good for him. And it's exciting for Leafs fans, because this is going to be it's going to be a fun season for Leafs fans with all these new acquisitions, and you kind of got a bit more size. And it's nice to see that players are starting to come home to start their quarantine. And the NHL doesn't have anything official out yet, but I'm pretty sure it's well known that we will be seeing NHL hockey starting on the 13th. It might be a little bit later if they can't get some of the final details ready. They're going to have to make a decision pretty soon on what they're doing because people have got to start coming back and doing their quarantine, and camps are supposed to open. Camps are supposed to open this month for teams that were not in the bubble. So teams that weren't in the bubble are going to be allowed to open their camps on the 30th of December. And then the teams that were in the bubble are going to open on January 3rd. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something late today, early tomorrow, announcing the season. Maybe we'll get a look at a schedule soon. I think they're going to do something similar to what the NBA did with releasing the schedule in 2 parts. They need to get the ball rolling here because it's kind of crunch time. They're leaving the assignment till the last minute, which is the best.
I got you. What else do you want to talk about? NHL?
Some
couple cool things like a Wayne Gretzky rookie card sells for like 1.3 million.
Yeah, I just thought it was an
great way to be a hobby man, a hobby investor, hobby woman.
Yeah, this happened over the weekend. I can't remember what day it was exactly, but a Wayne Gretzky rookie card sold for 1.3 million at an auction. That's quite a lot of money for a small piece of cardboard. And I don't know, like, I'm not really a card collector. I got the cards when I was younger, but I never sold them or anything. I would just get like the dollar store packets that give you 4 players or whatever. But that's a lot of money for a hockey card. I just thought it was interesting. And then also breaking today, the St. Louis Blues have hired a new assistant general manager in Ryan Miller. I don't know, it hasn't been released the term or the money yet or whatever it is, but it's going to be weird seeing him off the ice.
Yeah, I honestly will remember him forever as a red, black, and white Buffalo Sabre, because me and my family went across the border back in the day and watched them all the time, just because they would be playing like Pittsburgh and Crosby, and they'd be playing like the Leafs and just be a little bit of a cheaper price way back in the day, I'm pretty sure, just to go watch the Sabres. And so guys like Danny Briere, Drury, and Ryan Miller especially just hit super home with me, and it's good to see him in the game still.
Yeah, it's, good for him. He can probably bring some good insight, since he played. And I just think it's going to be, I'm just trying to pull up the article here to see if it does. They just released an article. I just want to see if it announces how long he's there for, which I don't think it does, which is a shame. But yeah, he's going to be in there. It's going to be good. Good for him. Good for the team.
Yeah, man, let's go right along to some other outside news that's not NHL related, but hockey related for sure. You got the World Juniors. A little bit of an issue here with some flights and some European teams coming across and Scandinavian teams as well.
Yeah, so we had, I think, Sweden, Russia, and Finland. They all shared a charter just because of cost issues. And you already got 3 teams on a plane with their players, training staff, coaching staff, and everything. So that's a full plane. And they also wanted to pack the equipment on the plane with the players, like not under the plane, but on the plane, like in the chartered area. And the players had an issue with this because they were like, no, that there's no room for us. It's unsafe. So they were actually delayed in taking off because they didn't want the plane to be that crowded. And luckily they were able to figure it out, and they got a separate chartered plane for all the equipment to be shipped across safely. But that was almost a close call that these teams couldn't fly out on time. Luckily, they were able to get it figured out in an hour. But just kind of a crazy thought that something that simple wasn't planned ahead. That's basic event management. Shout out Humber. But
yeah, sure.
But yeah, it blew my mind when I first saw the original tweet. I was like, why aren't these teams flying out? Is there a COVID issue? Is there another issue? And I was like, no, they just want to put the luggage on the plane with the players in the seats. I'm like, no, that's understandable as to why they're not boarding the plane. Right. Can you imagine you're boarding a transatlantic flight, and then the crew's like, oh, we're gonna put this guy's suitcase on your lap.
Yeah, it's pretty discomforting.
Yeah, you don't want that. And then the World Junior rosters were named. I don't want to get into this too much because I'm actually going to do a separate kind of video series breaking down the 10 teams. But Team Canada was named. They're looking strong. Of the biggest notes I can think of is Tim Stutzel was named to his team, and Nick Robertson will not be playing for Team USA.
Wow.
So those are some big big additions and big losses for their two teams.
Okay, actually, let me just say this real quick. While we were filming, the Bleacher Report, which is whatever, pretty sourceable, released a statement from LeVar Ball saying that the Detroit Pistons, and quote start is, the franchise is over. There is the franchise is over there is raggedy as hell. The franchise over there is raggedy as hell. Sorry, just the way he talks. But hey, they're going to learn the hard way. So LeVar Ball sounds off on the Pistons after they cut his son, LeAngelo.
Man, LeVar Ball would go off on anybody. He went off on The Miz on Monday Night Raw.
He also thinks he could take Michael Jordan.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, let's go with some fun news in hockey. Emilio Estevez, or Gordon Bombay, as some might recognize him, is returning as the head coach for the Mighty Ducks. They're coming out with a new Disney Plus series, which is
yes. Man, I'm so excited for that. Did you see my TikTok about the Mighty Ducks?
No, but we'll have to start advertising Josh Egan's TikTok, and we'll have to make it more of Orion based because TikTok,
I can't change the username.
No, but it doesn't matter. We'll just use we'll just use what you have there because I'm not making one. I don't know if I want to make another one.
Right. But anyway, just of note, when they do the flying V in the first movie against the Hawks in the final, it's offside. They are offside. The Hawks should have challenged that. But anyway, Coach Bombay will be back for the Mighty Ducks. This is going to be amazing. This was probably Disney did that whole investors conference when they announced a bunch of Star Wars, Marvel stuff, some animated stuff, and then they kind of slipped in there that he would be returning as Coach Bombay. I was like, that's what I want to see, because we grew up at what do you watch on the way to a hockey tournament? Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3. What do you watch at the tournament? Mighty Ducks 1, 2, and 3. I was so fired up for this. It's gonna be exciting to watch. That's Space Jam for hockey players.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, for sure. We can go right into the MLB and the Cleveland baseball team we'll use right now, for lack of a better team name, has to change after 105 years with the team name that they recently had. You know much more about this?
I know they're going to change it. The official announcement hasn't come from the team yet, but the New York Post, which is a pretty big source, confirmed that it will be happening. I use Reddit quite a bit, and there was a thread of names that should be replaced, and they said they should be called the Cleveland Wahoos for a season because of the idiocy of the old name. And I was like, that's actually pretty funny. But yeah, they're going to scrap the name and the logo for obvious reasons. The Washington football team did the same thing, and the Chicago Blackhawks are probably next.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy though.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Actually, it's not crazy by any means, but the Chicago Blackhawks logo is
it's very similar to the Cleveland.
Yeah, one. And it's not that it's crazy that they would get changed. It's like you said, it's coming of times, really.
Yeah, for sure. Something to do, something kind of similar. I don't know if you saw, but Braden Holtby had a new helmet, and he posted a photo of it, and it had I forget what it was. I think it was like a
Baby Yoda.
It was like a Thunderbird on it, and it was a shout out to a First Nations kind of a connection to it. But he got criticized for it because he didn't hire a First Nations person to do it and all that. So he's not going to wear the helmet, and he's actually going to work with a First Nations community to help him design a helmet and commission this artist to do it.
Good for him for responding though, but
yeah, for sure. And I saw a good idea because he had that whole issue with his turtles at the border. They were like, why doesn't he do one with turtles on his helmet? Yeah. Which would be awesome to see, right? That'd be so much better than a Thunderbird. And
speaking of,
go ahead.
Okay, are you going on the same topic or are you moving on?
I don't know. You go for it.
I was going to say, speaking of, I think you said the helmet was a great thing to see if the turtles were on or whatever. So I was going to say, speaking of great things to see, we had Sarah Fuller in the NCAA.
Power 5.
Making history. Yeah,
and I don't know why people are hating on her so much. It's kind of weird to see. TSN or whatever between Sarah Fuller makes the first extra point kick for a female in Power 5 history, and then just be a bunch of angry dudes oh, it was only 21 yard, or oh, let's see her do it in a 70 yard to the tornado. It's dude, she's kicking the ball and you're not.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So people are saying, oh, it's a publicity stunt for the for the school. Yeah, it might be, but it's getting eyes on women in sports. So what's the big deal?
There you go. And that's just the bottom line is like, what is the progression of not only sports, but like just organizations across North America and the world for the future is just including like more equality with females.
Right. And if you don't like it, I don't know why you're commenting on it. Like move on with your day.
Like unfollow, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or something.
like, I
Block.
don't get it. People are like, oh, let's see her do it while someone's running at her and she gets tackled. Okay, I'm sure that'll probably happen.
Yeah.
It hasn't yet.
Still hasn't happened yet. That's right. So we're wrapping up, but we're not necessarily wrapping up. You wanted to do something about Sweden today still?
No, I'm going to do that separately.
Okay, so you want me to, my last segment here is just kind of my basketball. Okay, so my last segment here is, okay, I'm just trying to find the right words.
Yeah, I have a couple other things too.
Okay, you go.
Right, just Monday Night Football tonight. We got two good teams. Got the Ravens and the Browns playing. If the Browns win, Buffalo clinches a spot in the postseason. And Jerry Jones was recently on the radio criticizing his team and their general manager, but Jerry Jones is the general manager. He makes he makes all the decisions. So he was on the radio criticizing himself when he said he was. It was a very confusing interview, and until ownership changes there, I don't think that team is going to change direction very much because he has his hands in everything there, and he kind of has a bunch of yes men working for him who are like, oh yeah, Jerry, that's a great idea. So we'll see what happens there. I don't think much is going to change, but it was just kind of funny to see that he was criticizing himself unknowingly on the radio.
Yeah. So sorry about that. I had a mic. There's so much going on in my life, not necessarily that's important or not important. I just blank out and I look into space and I completely forget what I was thinking about. But I was having a hard time categorizing what I'm doing. Recently, we released our top 5 Canadian NBA players.
Right.
And it gained a lot of traction in the comment sections, which is exactly what we were looking for. And pretty much the question was just asking my friends, our friends, or Ryan's friends, what their top 5 opinions were of the same current NBA Canadian players. And I just want to reach out. Okay, I'll reaching out eventually, but I just want to let people know I have a plan to incorporate a lot of their opinions. I want to ask you about your opinion on everyone's list, and we can kind of rank an Orion comment section list right now about kind of where we see the statistics real quick. And it's pretty easy to point out the differences. So we have Andrew Pinedo, I'll shout out my buddy, has Jamal Murray at number 1, Shea number 2, RJ at number 3, Corey Joseph 4, and Nick Stauskas, because he's a Michigan man, at number 5. My friend Michael, he has Jamal Murray at number 1, Shea at number 2, Dylan Brooks at number 3, Andrew Wiggins at number 4, RJ at number 5. My friend Dalton has Jamal at number 1, Wiggins at number 2, Shea at 3, RJ at 4, Thompson at 5. My friend Daryl has Murray at 1, Wiggins at 2, Shea at 3, Olynyk at 4, Brooks at 5. My other friend Derek has Murray at 1, Shea at 2, Wiggins at 3, Olynyk at 4, and RJ at 5. My buddy Jordan has Jamal Murray at number 1, Shea at number 2, Chris Boucher 3, Wiggins 4, and Clark at number 5. And my one last friend Ryan has Shea number 1 over Jamal with Wiggins, Tristan, and Boucher. So
that's my guy right there, Shea number 1. Man, yeah, I want to talk
about. I want to make it important that, if people are going to express their opinions, I forgot to. John Tino had Murray 1, Wiggins 2, Thompson 3, Shea 4, Brooks 5. My one friend Ian had Jamal at number 1, Shea at number 2, Kelly at number 3, Clark 4, and Brooks 5. And my one friend Jacob had Murray 1, Shea 2, Wiggins 3, Brooks 4, and Thompson 5. And so you can see a pattern. I know I sound repetitive, but you can see a pattern, and especially with ours as well, you can see a pattern in just people's opinions, especially if we want to get Canadian people, not that it matters, but if you care about Canadian sports, it's great to see you comment. And I want to shout out everyone and I want to hear more about some of their opinions for sure.
Yeah,
So I just
no, the interaction was good.
yeah, I wanted to take that time to just appreciate everyone that commented there for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. It was good. And I got a message from an NBA insider, and he said that my list was the better one. So I can't share my source, but it was Masai Ujiri.
He said he wasn't going to share.
He sent me a message. He was like, "Josh, I'm re-signing with the Raptors for 10 years, and your list was better than Brandon's."
Oh, mark the date.
That's what Masai said. So.
Oh, well, I got nothing else to say.
Nope, I'm good. Just a reminder that for every subscription we get from now until Christmas Eve, we will add $2 to our donation. We're currently up to 25 subscribers.
Actually, yeah, that's very, yeah.
Help us hit that donation goal. We're excited to give back. We recently hit over 2,000 combined listens on all our platforms. We're excited about that. We ain't 1,000.
Thank you guys
We're
so much.
2,000. We're out here. You know, we're happy with what we are. Happy with the interaction. You know, we're on the way here. So let's do it, boys. Let's keep rolling. And with that, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you on, what are we gonna do, Friday?
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.